Hey guys, in this video I'll be covering resources. So resources include food, water and energy. So why do we need food? Well, to have energy, for example, to do basic things like movement. We need water for cleaning, cooking, washing and drinking. We need energy for transport, heating and electricity. So overall resources are very important for humans. There's also inequalities around the world. There's undernourishment where you don't receive enough nutrients from the food, for example in places like Africa, whereas there's high nourishment in places like America. Water footprint is the amount of water you use in a day. There's also inequalities surrounding the water consumption as well. Physical water scarcity is where there's not enough rain, whereas economic water scarcity is where you don't have enough money to extract the water. Demand is increasing because countries are becoming more developed, so they demand more, they have a better quality of life and higher expectations and higher demand, also due to population increase. Demand for food has increased in the UK. We want out of season exotic foods, which is hard to grow in the UK. So therefore, the better land, the more higher quality, more nutritious land is used for HSEs in the LIC countries. So they are left with the lower degraded land, and this often leads to bad harvests and food shortages, as well as the fact that LICs are exposed to chemicals and toxins because they don't have enough protective clothing, and also lots of water is required to grow these crops. And it doesn't help when the country has a water scarcity. The advantages of growing food in a country or elsewhere include the fact that jobs are created and higher wages. Organic produce is like having minimal impacts on the environment as well as growing your crops. So although it produces a fewer yield than the ones that use fertilizers and stuff, this is often environmentally beneficial. It uses natural fertilizers, for example compost. It uses natural pesticides, for example ladybirds, to eat the aphids that are damaging the crops, and it doesn't use any herbicides. It uses natural methods. Why is it increasing the demand? Well, people want healthier food. Some people say it tastes better, and other people are more concerned about the environmental impacts as well as their health because they're worried about the chemicals and the use of antibiotics. So that's organic produce. Food miles. Food miles is a distance travel from the producer to the consumer. Carbon footprint is the amount of CO2 and other greenhouse gases released during the lifetime of a product, event or a service. Importing food means more emissions because there are larger food miles, so it needs to be imported from using aeroplanes, so again releasing emissions. Alternatives to importing food include eating seasonal food, growing your own, or buying local food, for example UK farms. Agribusiness is treating farming like a large business, and this increases yield because they use machinery, technology, pesticides, chemicals, antibiotics, etc., and therefore increases yield. Demand for water is increasing because of increased wealth. We have machinery that uses more water, for example dishwashers and washing machines. Number 2 is because of leisure use, for example in golf course. And number 3 because we have developed more personal hygiene because we become more hygienic. Deficit where there's not enough water, this soon turns to stress when there's more scarcity. Surplus is where there's excess amount of water to meet the demands of the population. Water transfer schemes are moving water from where there's surplus to where there's deficiency, and this creates reservoirs which could be used for irrigation, increasing crop yield, etc., as well as providing water security for the areas. Disadvantages include local communities are displaced, habitats are destroyed, and the dams obviously disturb the environment. Example of a water transfer scheme is a Cayley Dam. Cause of water pollution, so some, for example, supermarket trolleys, we have from industry, so sewage and waste from industry, inappropriate waste, for example, by people like us who chuck stuff in the toilet, which is not meant to go in there, as well as, for example, in agriculture, like the pesticides, their surface runoff. So that's the different types of causes of water pollution. Some impacts include eutrophication. So pesticides, they enter the water, the resources, the plants, they start taking more oxygen up. There's not enough oxygen left for the fish, so the ecosystem starts getting destroyed. We also have the idea of less sanitary water left, and the toxins are released into the water, so fish die. Management techniques include green roofs. These are roofs that collect water as well as having plants on them, increasing the air quality. We can also have legalization, so setting a certain amount of discharge can be released into the water again. Or we can have education and awareness, so educating people about not chucking inappropriate waste into like toilets or sinks and stuff can really help. Or you can have management, as well as having desalination plants and water sewage treatment plants. Those can help. And pollution traps, these are put around like roads, so they prevent surface runoff to the rivers. So like oil and stuff and it prevents it from getting into the water. Different types of energy. Obviously, you guys already know there's fossil fuels, nuclear energy, renewable energy, and you guys need to know the benefits and the problems. But I'm not going to go over that. Fracking is like having high pressure sand, chemicals and water pushed into like rocks, and that puts really a lot of pressure on the rocks and causes it to crack and expand due to the pressure, and this allows the natural gas to increase. Problems with this is the fact that this is linked to low level earthquakes, and secondly it can contaminate the water supplies. The advantage obviously provides like business revenues and jobs. So that is all of resources done.